On February 1st, 1959, 9 experienced Russian hikers pitched their tent on a remote mountain slope in the Ural Mountains. 26 days later, search teams found their bodies scattered across the frozen wilderness. Some were nearly naked in sub-zero temperatures. Others had catastrophic injuries, crushed skulls, shattered ribs, trauma so severe it was compared to a high-speed car crash. One woman was missing her tongue, her eyes, and parts of her face. The tent had been slashed open from the inside. Footprints led away in an orderly line, not the chaotic scatter of people fleeing in panic. And some of their clothing tested positive for radiation. For 66 years, the Dyatlov Pass incident has been one of the world's greatest unsolved mysteries. The official Soviet investigation concluded only that a compelling natural force caused their deaths, but refused to say what that force was. Welcome back to Declassified Truth. I'm your host, and today we're investigating the Dyatlov Pass incident and the new evidence from 2024 and 2025 that finally explains what happened on that frozen mountain. Because here's what most people don't know. In the last 5 years, scientists conducted 3 expeditions to the mountain. They found something no one had ever documented before: video evidence of the exact phenomenon that likely killed the hikers. But even with this breakthrough, disturbing questions remain. Questions about why the Soviet government classified the case for decades. Questions about those orange lights witnesses reported in the sky that night. Questions about the radiation. This is the Dyatlov Pass incident. And the truth is stranger than any conspiracy theory. Let's start at the beginning. January 23rd, 1959. A group of 10 young adventurers gathered at the Ural Polytechnic Institute in Sverdlovsk, Soviet Russia. They were about to embark on a 16-day, 190-mile ski expedition across the northern Ural Mountains, one of the most challenging routes in the Soviet Union. The leader was Igor Dyatlov, a 23-year-old engineering student. Brilliant, experienced, meticulous. The rest of the group ranged from 20 to 24 years old, except for one, Alexander Zolotaryov, a 38-year-old sports instructor and the most experienced mountaineer among them. All of them were expert skiers. All of them had survived brutal winter expeditions before. One of the women, Lyudmila Dubinina, had once been accidentally shot by a hunter on a previous trip, and rather than wait for evacuation, she cheerfully skied 50 miles to the nearest clinic. These were not amateurs. They set out with high spirits. They smuggled themselves onto trains to avoid paying tickets. One brought a mandolin and played folk songs. They took photographs, documenting everything: smiling faces, pristine snow, the adventure of a lifetime. On January 28th, one member, Yuri Yudin, dropped out due to knee pain. He said goodbye to his friends and turned back. That decision saved his life. He was the only one who would survive. The remaining 9 continued north toward their destination, Gora Otorten, a mountain peak in the remote northern Urals. The name Otorten means "don't go there" in the language of the indigenous Mansi people. They should have listened. On February 1st, the group reached a mountain slope. It was late afternoon. Visibility was poor due to heavy snowfall and brutal winds reaching 60 miles per hour. The temperature was around -25 to -30 degrees Celsius, about -13 to -22 Fahrenheit. They should have descended and camped in the forest below, where they'd be sheltered from the wind. But for some reason, Perhaps because it was getting dark, perhaps because they were exhausted. They made a decision. They would camp on the slope. They pitched their tent, ate dinner, and settled in for the night. According to their last diary entries and photographs, spirits were still good. They joked, they relaxed. Everything seemed normal. The last photograph in Igor Dyatlov's camera shows the group cutting through snow to level the ground for their tent. It was taken around 5 p.m. Sometime that night, everything went catastrophically wrong. The group was supposed to send a telegram from the village of Vijay by February 12th, confirming they'd completed their trek. The telegram never came. At first, no one was worried. Delays were common on difficult expeditions. But by February 20th, 8 days overdue, search teams were dispatched. On February 26th, the search party found the tent. What they saw made no sense. The tent was partially collapsed, covered in snow, but it hadn't been destroyed by wind or animals. It had been cut open from the inside. Long, deliberate slashes made by knives. Inside the tent, everything was still there. Warm clothes, boots, supplies, food. The hikers had left almost everything behind. Footprints led away from the tent, heading downhill toward a forest about a mile away. 8 or 9 sets of prints. Some were barefoot. Others wore only socks. A few wore a single boot. The footprints weren't chaotic. They were orderly, walking in a line, not running. The search team followed the tracks. At the edge of the forest, beneath a large cedar tree, they found the first 2 bodies, Yuri Doroshenko and Yuri Krivonashenko. Both were dressed only in underwear. Both had died of hypothermia. The cedar tree showed signs of someone climbing it, broken branches up to 15 feet high, as if someone had been trying to see back toward the tent. Next to the bodies, the searchers found the remains of a fire. Over the next few days, 3 more bodies were discovered along the slope between the forest and the tent. Igor Dyatlov, Zenaida Kolmogorova, Rustem Slobodin. All 3 appeared to have been trying to return to the tent. All 3 had frozen to death before making it. Rustem Slobodin had a small skull fracture, but it wasn't severe enough to kill him. That left 4 hikers unaccounted for. The search continued for weeks. But with heavy snow still falling, the remaining bodies couldn't be found. It wasn't until May, 3 months later, when the snow finally melted, that the last 4 were discovered. And this is where the mystery deepens. The 4 bodies, Lyudmila Dubinina, Alexander Zolotaryov, Nikolai Thibault-Brignol, and Alexander Kolovatov, were found in a ravine about 250 feet from the cedar tree, buried under 13 feet of snow. They had built a makeshift shelter, a den dug into the snow, lined with branches from the cedar tree. They'd been trying to survive, but they hadn't died from hypothermia. The autopsy reports were disturbing. Lyudmila Dubinina had massive chest trauma, 4 broken ribs, massive internal hemorrhaging. Her tongue, eyes, and parts of her facial tissue were missing. Nikolai Thibault-Brignol had severe skull fractures. Alexander Zolotaryov had 5 broken ribs and severe chest trauma. The medical examiner noted that the force required to cause these injuries was equivalent to a car crash. These weren't caused by a fall or by fighting. This was blunt force trauma from something massive, yet there were no external wounds, no cuts, no signs of an attack. The bodies had been crushed by something. And then there was the radiation. Some of the clothing, specifically garments taken from the first 2 bodies and worn by the others. tested positive for radioactive contamination. Not a lot, but enough to be detected. The Soviet authorities examined all the evidence and issued their conclusion: a compelling natural force which the hikers were unable to overcome caused their deaths. They closed the case, classified all the files, and for decades refused to say more. So what happened on that mountain? For 60 years, theories have ranged from the plausible to the paranormal. Let's go through them. Theory 1, avalanche. An avalanche hit the tent, forcing the hikers to cut their way out and flee. Some were injured in the initial impact. The rest froze to death. The problem? The slope wasn't steep enough for a typical avalanche. There were no signs of avalanche debris, and experienced mountaineers like Dyatlov and Zolotaryov would never camp in the avalanche zone. This theory was quickly dismissed. Theory 2, infrasound. Katabatic winds, cold air rushing down the mountain, created low-frequency sound waves that induced panic and irrational behavior in the hikers. They fled the tent in terror from a sound they couldn't consciously hear. The problem? If it was just panic, why did they walk calmly in a line? Why did they build a shelter and attempt to survive? Their actions were deliberate and rational. This theory doesn't fit the evidence. Theory 3, military testing. The Soviet military was testing weapons or missiles in the area. The hikers witnessed something they shouldn't have and were either killed directly or caught in a weapons test. The evidence? Witnesses in the area reported seeing glowing orange spheres in the sky that night. And there's the unexplained radiation on some clothing. But here's the problem. If this was a military cover-up, why were the bodies left where they were? Why not dispose of them entirely? And why reopen the investigation in 2019? This theory has support, but it's speculative. Theory 4, Yeti, or animal attack. Some theorize that the indigenous Mansi people or a creature, possibly a Yeti, attacked the group. The problem? The footprints leaving the tent were only from the hikers. There were no signs of any other humans or animals. The injuries, while severe, didn't match claw marks or bites. This theory is essentially dismissed by all serious investigators. Theory 5, hypothermia and paradoxical undressing. This theory suggests that after fleeing the tent for some unknown reason, the hikers suffered severe hypothermia. In the final stages of hypothermia, victims often experience paradoxical undressing, a sensation of intense heat that causes them to remove their clothing. This explains why some were found nearly naked, but it doesn't explain why they cut the tent open. It doesn't explain the severe internal injuries, and it doesn't explain the orderly footprints or the rational behavior of building a shelter. For decades, none of these theories fully explained the evidence, until 2019, when the Russian government did something unexpected. They reopened the case. The slab avalanche theory is the best scientific explanation we have. It fits the physical evidence. It's been tested and verified, but it doesn't explain everything. What about the orange lights witnesses reported seeing in the sky that night? Soviet missile tests were happening in the region during that period. Some researchers believe the hikers may have witnessed a failed rocket test, but there's no official confirmation. What about the radiation on the clothing? 2 of the hikers had previously worked in areas contaminated by the Kishtim disaster, a nuclear accident 2 years earlier. The radiation could have come from their prior exposure, transferred to clothing. But again, it's not definitively proven. And what about Lyudmila Dubinina's missing tongue and eyes? The official explanation is decomposition and scavenging by animals during the 3 months her body was buried in the snow. But her injuries and the missing soft tissue remain deeply unsettling to many investigators. The Dyatlov Pass incident may be officially solved, but it remains one of history's most haunting mysteries. 9 experienced hikers died in circumstances that seemed impossible. And for 66 years, no one could explain it. Now we have an answer, but the questions linger, and maybe that's what makes it so unforgettable. The Dyatlov Pass incident teaches us something important. Sometimes the truth is stranger than any conspiracy theory, not because of government cover-ups or paranormal forces, but because nature itself can be more terrifying than we imagine. A delayed avalanche, a series of rational decisions made in impossible circumstances, and 9 people who fought heroically to survive, but never had a chance. This is Declassified Truth. Every Tuesday and Friday, we investigate the mysteries that refuse to be forgotten. Next video. We're covering the disappearance of Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 and the evidence that suggests we've been looking in the wrong place the entire time. Subscribe and hit the bell. The truth is out there, and we're going to find it. See you next time.